Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. Congress is back in session this week, and the first item on the agenda for lawmakers is shredding the U.S. Constitution. Yesterday, the Senate overwhelmingly voted to pass a 4-year extension to the Patriot Act, that surveillance monster created by George W. Bush after the 9/11 crime. That means 4 more years of phone wiretap laws and snooping on our library records and details of everything you do on the web without any suspicion or any warrant. Only 8 senators voted no, 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, and independent Senator Bernie Sanders. The House is expected to pass their version of the bill this week. That will mean the Patriot Act will be put into law through 2015. That's 15 years of Big Brother counterterrorism in response to 9/11. 15 years. Considering that bin Laden said that his main goal was to force America to fundamentally change who we are and sacrifice our ideals, with another extension of the Patriot Act, it looks like Congress is handing him a posthumous victory. If you thought our government was in charge of making laws, think again. Turns out the World Trade Organization is telling us what to do. Yesterday, the WTO took a bite out of U.S. sovereignty, ruling that American manufacturers can no longer label tuna products as dolphin safe. Why? Because such labeling could restrict the purchase of certain foreign tuna products, thus limiting free trade in America. So now, with no incentive to catch dolphin-safe tuna, expect transnational corporate seafood companies around the world to go gangbusters, scooping up tuna out of the ocean with no regard to what else might get trapped in their nets. The U.S. has lost 9 out of every 10 cases in front of the WTO since joining that organization in '95. So where are the Tea Party protests on this important issue of sovereignty? Oh, right, their corporate founders love free trade, even though it screws America. In the best of the rest of the news, last week, a year-long investigation into the cause of the Upper Big Branch mine explosion in West Virginia that killed 29 miners was released. Written by an independent panel of safety experts, the report finds that man-made errors led to the disaster, errors that could easily have been prevented. The report reads that explosion at the mine owned by Massey was, quote, a completely predictable result of a company that ignored basic safety standards and put too much faith in its own mythology, end quote. Blame was also pinned on the coal miner watchdog, the Mine Safety and Health Administration, that during the Bush administration dropped the ball on enforcing regulations. The conditions of the Massey mine before the explosion were a Republican's dream come true. Little or no regulation, complete corporate control of day-to-day operations. And what did it lead to? Tragic death of 29 workers. Just like little regulation led to the death of 11 workers on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico last year. This isn't just about profits, it's about lives. And those who fight against common sense regulation, frankly, don't give a damn about the consequences. One name that's being tossed around a lot on Capitol Hill this week is Elizabeth Warren. The former Harvard law professor and lifelong advocate for protecting the middle class has a lot of supporters on the Hill who want to see her appointed to be the first chairwoman of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a panel created in the Wall Street Reform Bill that makes sure customers aren't getting screwed by their banks again. Warren currently serves as special advisor to the Bureau while a full-time chairman is sought, but Democratic lawmakers, several consumer advocacy groups, and even banking organizations want to see Warren fill the top post and are calling on President Obama to make it happen. However, there is one giant hurdle in the way of a Warren nomination. The Republican Party just doesn't dislike Warren. They hate the idea of a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau or any real regulation of banksters, and have vowed not to approve any nominee for the job. The Republicans are trembling at the thought of an outspoken voice for the middle class heading up an agency that can check the power of the banksters, one of the Republicans' main campaign financiers. The Republican war on the poor continues. Yesterday, House Republicans introduced a bill that cuts $832 million out of nutrition programs for poor mothers and their children. If food prices continue to rise, these cuts could kick 475,000 Americans out of food assistance programs in America, telling literally starving families they're on their own. On top of that, Republicans are also cutting 12% out of the FDA's food safety budget. Yes, Republicans figure that since we'll be giving fewer people food, then we can get by with fewer safety regulations. The Supreme Court ruled yesterday that prison overpopulation in California is so bad that it violates the Eighth Amendment's protection against cruel and unusual punishment. There are currently 140,000 people imprisoned in California, way above the prison system's capacity. After viewing pictures of living conditions within the prison, Justice Anthony Kennedy said the overcrowding leads to needless suffering and death, his words. The court is now forcing California to reduce its inmate population by 30,000 people. Welcome to our nation's failed so-called war on drugs that throws billions of dollars down the drain, spurs violence on our southern border, and imprisons hundreds of thousands of nonviolent people just for getting high. We have the highest imprisonment rate in the developed world. Not exactly a distinction we should be proud of as a nation. Crazy alert. Now I know what my dog feels like. Workers at a casino in New Zealand are donning a new accessory on the job, flea collars. That's right, thanks to a recent outbreak of flea infestations in hospitals, restaurants, and casinos in Auckland, workers are resorting to any means necessary to keep the blood-sucking critters at bay, including wearing flea collars. Health officials in New Zealand have warned of the dangers of wearing pet collars that leak poison, but that hasn't slowed down the itchy workers. It's unclear if they've begun taking their heartworm medication as well, just to be sure. And that's the way it is today, Tuesday, May 24th, 2011. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.